everybody. Welcome to episode 61 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. Merry Christmas. Today is Christmas Eve 2021. Anyway, I'm Devin Bentry. You can find me online as Knitty McPurly on Instagram and as on my website, www.knittymcpurly.com. And if you want to email me, devin@knittymcpurly.com. Awesome. You guys, I'm so excited that it's Christmas. My youngest daughter got this little tiara Santa hat headband from the dollar store, and trying to get her to let me wear it for the podcast, she was like, Mom, she's 7. She was like, Mom, I never said you could wear it. Like you're not allowed. So don't tell her that I'm wearing it. I felt like I needed some festive headgear. So anyway, it is Christmas Eve. I'm filming this kind of early in the day, which is not normal for me because normally I'm homeschooling, but not today. So we have festivities later in the afternoon, but for now, I'm trying to get the podcast in. So thank you for joining me on this Christmas Eve day. I have a lot of new viewers. I want to welcome you guys. Some of you guys are all over the political spectrum, which I could not love anymore. I love that. I love when people leave me a comment like something to the effect of, I think my political views are probably different from yours, but I still like your podcast. And, I like that we're talking about knitting and we're not getting upset about stuff. And it's good. I'm like, yes, success. So bringing people together, that's what I want to do. I want to bring people together. But welcome. If you're new, go follow me on Instagram, subscribe, thumbs up, do all the stuff that tells YouTube that you like my podcast, and then they show it to more people. So yay. So I have a new hobby that I wanted to tell you guys about. And that's rude. This is my podcast. Wow, that's cold. This is my new hobby. So, as you know, I have been dyeing my own hair. I blonded it up. First it went red and then it went blonde, and now I'm kind of toning it down to kind of a dark blonde. And I just wanted to learn how to do hair. Like I want to learn how to do color. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube by professionals. You know what? Can you just let me have the shot, please? Thank you. Anyway, I've been learning how to do hair, and I know like there are real cosmetologists in the world, and you guys have credentials and knowledge and licensing and all that stuff. But all I want to do is I want to learn how to do my own hair. I want to do fun stuff to my girls' hair when they want fun stuff done. And I just want to be able to do that. So I ordered this really cool mannequin head. It has real human hair, which is a little creepy, not gonna lie. I'm not exactly sure about the origin of this hair. One thing before I talk about that, you can see that there's a little bit of gray in there, which is fun. So that'll be interesting. Clearly this is hair that's different from mine. Feels like hair that has a lot of texture. Not sure if it has been relaxed or just ironed. It was very cheap. I paid $25 for this on Amazon. I just want you to know that while I'm doing this mannequin's hair, I'm going to be thinking about the human being that grew this hair and saying a little prayer for them, because I don't understand the hair market. Presumably, I'm just going to say that this lovely woman or man, I guess, who sold their hair was given a lot of money to take care of their family, and that's my hope. Worst case scenario, it came off a cadaver. I don't know where it comes from. But anyway, I'll just say a little prayer for this person. That's all I got. That's all I can do. But I'm going to be practicing some hair dyeing techniques. And this hair has a lot of pigment. Obviously, it's very, very dark. Kind of picks up a little bit of blue in the light, which I think hair colorists would say is a level 10. I don't want to talk too much about hair because this is a knitting podcast. But anyway, this is my latest hobby. I'm going to be learning how to dye some fun hair. Because I dye yarn, and now that's not the same as we've talked about before. But it's not rocket science, you guys. It's just not. It's about, are you willing to learn and put in the time and effort of practice? That's all it is. So anyway, that's my new hobby. I'll keep you guys up on that as I learn more. Okay, progress and shop news. I have been working on the retreat, and I am pretty sure that I have a place and a date. So what I need you to do is leave me a comment telling me if this date and place and approximate cost would work for you. I'm just looking at this one right now. I haven't committed to anything yet, but my business has to kind of front the money for it. So I want to make sure that I have enough people who are like, yes, I can make it that weekend. Yes, I can make it to that location, and that price works for me before I book it. So the weekend is December 8th through 11th, 2022. So just under a full year from now. It is outside of Asheville, North Carolina. If you are flying, you would fly into the Asheville airport. And the cost is my favorite part. It would be approximately, I have not worked out the exact numbers yet, but approximately $600. Now, I've gone to retreats before that cost over $2,000. And because we are doing this in such a way that it's very collaborative and voluntary, that it just doesn't have a lot of extra costs baked in. So I feel super, super happy about that situation. So I'm working on trying to send out a survey using my newsletter software. I got to figure out how to do a survey on there where I could, gauge people's interest and get all the details on who really wants to come to this retreat. But December 8th through 11th, 2022, right outside Asheville, North Carolina, and the cost would be in the ballpark of $600. If that would work for you, something like that would work for you, then leave me a comment below saying, I'm in, I want to go, obviously barring any unforeseen circumstances, probably I could do it and I want to do it. So that's where we are with that right now. Hopefully by next podcast, next podcast or a couple more, I will have details on signing up for that and when money is due. Money would not be due immediately. It would, because it's not until December. I don't exactly know when it would be due, but it would not be immediately. So that's where we are with that. Let me know what you think. Okay, second thing is the Lent calendar. Oh my gosh, the Lent calendar got a huge thumbs up from so many people. So it's happening. The Lent calendar is, the pre-orders are going up on January 1st. I will have a newsletter about that going out. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter and you want to receive newsletters from me, go sign up for that on my website. If you go to the website and just wait a sec, a little box will pop up and you can put your email in there and you'll get my next newsletter. So that's a good way to keep up with the retreat and the Lent calendar. But January 1st, those calendars will go up. They're going to be $125 each, and it's going to be 400 total grams. So we're talking similar to the Advent calendar. There will be 40 little boxes, each with a date from Ash Wednesday through Holy Saturday, excluding Sundays, because the 40 days of Lent does not include the Sundays. So it's Ash Wednesday through Saturday and skip Sunday. So you can use Sunday to catch up if you want to. And then you'll have a box Monday through Saturday and Monday through Saturday for the 6 weeks of Lent. It will include a 10-gram mini. So total, that's 400 grams of yarn, which works out to be a really good price. It would be about $30 a skein if you were buying 100-gram skeins. And it's significantly more labor that goes into dyeing 40 different colors. Also more fun. It's just delightful. I love, love, love coming up with the colors. And let me just say, I've been hearing from you guys about the Advent calendar, this year's Advent calendar, and I am so proud of this Advent calendar. My one friend sent me a message and said, I couldn't wrap my head around the colors until I realized that the whole thing works together. It's one thing. And I was like, yes, It's one thing. It's not a group of random assortment of colors. From beginning to end, it will create a color experience of some sort. I think most of you, now I think I can say this without risk of spoilers now that it's the 24th, I think most of you have realized that the Advent calendar is a rainbow. I'll grab a couple pictures off Instagram and put up people's progress up to now. So the Advent calendar was 24 10-gram minis, and then tomorrow there is a full skein to open. So the project will continue and finish up with that full skein. That was super fun. I really, really enjoyed doing that rainbow. I love it so much. Now, you might be thinking, I'm sorry I'm going off on the Advent calendar tangent, but this is important. Some of you might be thinking, am I gonna wear a rainbow shawl? Like, am I gonna do that? Am I gonna drape myself in rainbow? Trust me, stick to the end. You'll get the full skein tomorrow, finish it to the end. There are gonna be tassels at the end, which everybody already knows, that's not a surprise. When you get those tassels on there and you wrap yourself in that puppy, it is gorgeous. The overall impression, because it is rather long and skinny, is that it's not one of a rainbow. You don't really see that until you lay it all out. But it's just so pretty, and it goes with everything because it has all the colors. It's all jewel tones. So that said, the Lent calendar is going to be more muted. You guys know how I feel about mixtures of color that when put together give the vibe of a neutral. And that is going to be the impetus behind the Lent calendar and the mystery knit along that will go along with that. The Advent calendar mystery knit along was super simple because Advent is really busy. The Lent calendar will be a little bit more time-consuming knitting. It will have stretches of garter, that will exist in there, but it will also have, sections where you have to pay attention a little bit more because it's Lent, it's a little bit different. Anything else I wanted to say about that? Oh, some people asked me about Alpaca, and I had questions about DK. I really thought about those options. Fiber that's not a merino or a merino blend is more expensive, it's harder to come by, and I really did not want the cost of this calendar to go too high. It needs to be reasonable. Like, it's got to be reasonable for me to do the work and reasonable for you to pay for. So I decided I'm going with Frankfurt fingering again. It's the same yarn that I used in the Advent calendar. It's a wonderful fingering weight merino nylon that is great for socks or like shawls. It's plump but drapey. It's just got a great texture to it. It's got a great spin. It's just really good yarn. I like it a lot. So I decided to go with that again. I thought about doing a sparkle, but not everybody's into sparkle. So it's just gonna be Frankfurt fingering, and you can make anything you want. I have people who bought my Advent calendar who are doing whatever they want with it. Some people even ordered extra full skeins because they knew they were gonna need that. So that kind of thing is always an option too. But 10-gram minis, 40 of them, opening one per day throughout Lent. And also in the box will be either a Bible verse, a reflection, a sacrifice, or what's the other thing? Prayer of some sort. It will include some sort of Lenten thing in the box also each day that you can just, pick up, read, think about, and chuck. That kind of thing that just kind of draws our mind back to Lent and the sacrificial season that it is. This is open to all people, obviously. Christians celebrate Lent. If you are not a Christian, I still highly recommend that if you're interested in 40 days of 10-gram minis, buy the Lent calendar. Do what you want. Do whatever you want. It's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So, okay, the last thing I want to talk about is the online knitting magazine, which is called Blocked, and is going to be debuting on or around February 1st. This is a monthly magazine. I think it is put out solely by Neil of United Kingdom, who I talked about last time. Remember last time when I brought him up and I talked about how great he was? And then I was like, I was going somewhere with this. I can't remember. Well, he messaged me later and said, it's okay to talk about the magazine. Like, you don't feel like you can't talk about it. I was like, nope, I genuinely blanked out. Welcome to chemo brain, menopausal woman brain. I totally blanked out on it, but that was what I wanted to talk about last time, was that knitting magazine. And this is a free magazine that will be an online magazine. I don't know how you get it. I'll find out, or go follow You Knitted Kingdom, spelled just like you think, on Instagram. And I'm sure he'll have information on how to get that up on his Instagram. But I will have a mitten pattern in there. And I actually forgot to check and see if Neil said if it was okay if I show the mittens. But I'm going to assume that he said it was okay, because I feel like there's no downside to showing the mittens. This pattern is going to be completely free, completely available on this knitting magazine. And it comes in 2 different lengths. This is the Cotton Candy Mittens. And I named it after this yarn color, which I called Cotton Candy. It has a pointy top. My husband was like, what's up with them being pointy? And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure like Norwegian mittens are traditionally pointy, but you can round them if you want to. Do what you want. This is a very basic, very easy knitting pattern, knit with bulky weight yarn, and it has a cute a cute yarn pom-pom on there. And this is the long length. People like me who have longer arms need the longer length, because this part can tuck into my coat. However, if you make the longer length, you're going to need more than 1 skein of yarn. You can't make the long length with 1 skein. So for those of you, did I say it was bulky? This is bulky. This is Knitty McPurly's Berlin Bulky. And this one is from 29 Bridges Studio. This is the shorts. I think I call them longs and shorts. But this is, I'm pretty sure we're using the exact same yarn base, me and Mary over at 29 Bridges. But this is her yarn in the colorway Brass Tacks. So this you can do in 1 skein of yarn. So if you want to make mittens with just 1 skein, then you can tell I totally did these at 2 different times. I think one's a little smaller than the other. See, this is where my knitting imperfection comes through. So anyway, this mitten pattern will be free, and it will be available to you in that magazine coming up in February. Now, Neil told me that not every magazine will have patterns in it. Some will have knit-alongs or whatever else, articles. I'll be interested to see what Neil comes up with, because just in like Instagram direct messages, he throws around words like penultimate, which means second to last. And in my family, the penultimate, in whatever game or contest we're playing, not my current nuclear family, but the family that I came from, my parents, my brother, the penultimate is like the second to last. That's the best spot. So it's the celebrated second to last of whatever the game is. When he said penultimate, I was like, this magazine's going to be amazing. So I'm working on another pair. I had some more. So last night I was sitting on the couch. My husband was like, stay here, because I am a mover. I like to do stuff. And I'm like, I could go to go do some yarn. I could go dye some stuff. I could go. He's like, can you just sit? Because it's Christmas, and just sit. So I was like, okay, but I need a project. So I cast on another mitten. This is Mary's from 29 Bridges. This is her bulky merino. And now I only have 1 skein of this, but I wanted to have the length. So I also have this. This one is called, I think, Hot Date, and this one is called Dream at 29 Bridges. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cuffs in this color and the body of the mitten in this color, because they kind of go together. I don't know, maybe these will be a gift or something. I'm not sure. Here is what's left of my 2 skeins that I used. What is this attached to? So I have this and this left over from the cotton candy mittens. So you don't need a full 2 skeins to make the mittens, unless you want to make the cuffs longer. You certainly could do that, although arms do get wider as they go up. So if you were going to make the cuff even longer, you would want to cast on a few more stitches and then do 2 or 3 decreases to get to the wrist circumference. So that's a lot of words. Okay, our word of the week and topic of the week. This week, I am combining them because they are one, they go together. I did not do a huge amount of research on the word. There's certainly more that could be looked into, but basically the word steek, which is what we're going to be talking about today, because I did steek like I talked about last time. Not going to do it live, but I did take pictures and I did film a little video of the actual snipping that I will put in here in just a minute. But the word steek comes from the Middle English verb steeken, S-T-E-K-E-N, meaning to shut or fasten, which is kind of ironic because with a steek, you're not fastening, you're releasing, you're opening. That's interesting. It's unfastening. But doesn't steeken, it reminds me of German verbs. I don't know. I don't know a lot of languages. I only know a tiny bit of German. But interesting. I wonder what the relationship is between Middle English and modern day German. I don't know. Anyway, so when you are steeking, I did some research into this before I cut my steek. I'll begin by saying my steek was successful. It came out great. However, this sweater, it just didn't lend itself to steeking, nor did it lend itself to being what it was before. So it's okay. I don't feel bad like I ruined something I loved because, anyway, I'll show it to you in just a second. But when you are steeking, you don't want to use any slippery yarn. You want to use sticky animal fiber that kind of clings to itself, because otherwise it just gives you that extra added protection in, getting your stitches to stick together. Now you can just cut if you want to, if your fiber is super duper sticky. I would never do that, and probably you wouldn't either. That just seems too risky. Now the yarn that I used is 100% non-superwash. That's the yarn that I used in the sweater. And I looked into a couple different methods of steeking. I looked into doing kind of a running stitch, going up the stitches. I thought about using a sewing machine to secure the stitches. I didn't do the running stitch. In retrospect, I feel like that might have been a little easier and less time consuming, but I didn't choose it, I think because I just didn't quite understand it at the time. The reason I didn't choose the sewing machine one is because I felt like those feed dogs that move the fabric along might stretch out the knitting and such that it might end up being too long. So I ultimately went with a crocheted steek. I'm going to be putting pictures up as I'm talking because there was some trial and error. I originally tried to pick up my crocheted stitches using the same yarn that the sweater was knit in. Now, you know how when you're picking up a button band, you pick up 2 for every 3 stitches? The reason for that is because knit stitches are rectangles, right? They are not squares. If they were squares, then you could pick up every single stitch and everything would be perfectly square, but life most of the time does not work that way. So when I did that, it was too big because with a steek, you can't pick up every other stitch. You have to pick up every single stitch so you don't lose any. So I don't recommend using the same yarn the sweater is knit in. You need to use something smaller. So ultimately, I ended up using embroidery floss and a smaller size crochet hook. I think I took a picture of it and I'll put that up. And I basically picked up the stitches per the directions. I used, I think, the Very Pink Knits tutorial on the crocheted steek. Very Pink Knits has amazing tutorials. A lot of them have been on YouTube for like 10 years, but knitting doesn't really change. It stays the same. So yeah, it was a good experience. I really enjoyed picking up the stitches. I enjoyed cutting it. So here is my little video of me cutting it. Okay, here you can see I'm using a single crochet, and I am just securing the stitches on one side of my steek. My steek stitches are going to be these ladders right here. Right there. Those are the ones that I'm going to cut today. So this worked out really well with the embroidery floss and this 2.5 millimeter hook. It doesn't stretch out the fabric. So because I am working this as an afterthought steek, I'm going to go back and pick these up at the end. I left some extra string here. The only thing that's really difficult is that this embroidery floss is a little bit splitty. So I'm having to be careful with that. Okay. So these are our steek stitches here on either side of the reinforced stitches. And if we come up here, I just tried to do the best I could through this lace section, just because there's increases in here too, but basically I just reinforced those.
What's up?
Hey, we're filming a video cutting a steek.
You're taking the sound out?
I don't know.
Great.
Keeping it real.
You'll be on YouTube.
Oh yeah, Mom knows how to work TikTok. That makes sense.
I don't know how to work TikTok. So all we're doing here is we're
Well,
cutting.
there's like a special camera on the app to film your stuff.
See, we're cutting these legs here.
Can't like post
Legs? No. What are these called? Ladders? Bars?
No legs in the sweater.
There's legs and stitches. Stitches have legs. These are not them. Like, legs is the wrong word. But all you're doing is cutting this little ladder thing.
Deggings.
No, when I buy a sweater,
Keep
I'd
it-
like to
there
know
you
that
go.
it has arms and a neck hole, not arms and leg holes too.
Please cut out the sound at the end. Please cut out the sound at the end.
Why? This is so much fun.
Just cut out the sound.
Can you focus right here? There you go. See, and there's like an increase in there or something, but I'm just going to cut it and hope for the best, because I have secured the stitches on either side. See, and there's a part of the lace.
Camera, man.
Dude, it's pretty hard.
You're doing a good job.
Just not to used to filming on a phone. I always film on a webcam.
See, it's not that scary. It's really not, because you're not like haphazardly just, you know, cutting through the knitting. You're very carefully snipping just through the bars behind each stitch, going straight up in a line, like each ladder, doing it that way. So it's not really all that scary. So after I cut the steek, I'm trying to remember because I did this last week, I just picked up the button bands, and let me show you what I did. And I put buttonholes in one side. So yeah, I'm gonna do it like this. I think this will show a little bit better. I used the same yarn as this yellow here. I think it's the same. I'm not actually 100% sure. I really like that. The problem with this sweater, this is my James sweater. I made two of them, and I made two slightly different fits. This is the slouchier fit, where the armhole yoke, this was kind of a fashion a couple years ago, back when I designed it, where the armhole just went down a little bit further in the round yoke. And I just don't love it. It ends up being too much fabric. I'm just gonna try and put it on so you could see. So success overall in my steeking. Oh, the close-up. But not so much in the sweater because there's just, it's just too much. It's just too darn much right here. See? It's just too bulky. So had I done the steek on my other James, which I wear a lot more as a pullover, I think it would have worked better. But I will definitely steek again. I almost want to try a planned steek because when you plan it, you can leave those, stitches. You can make it more obvious, where to pick stuff up and whatnot, and you can have a place for it. So what I did to determine where to put the steek is I just measured from each pocket over and I counted how many stitches and then I just put it in the middle. So at the top, it does not fall perfectly in the middle of the pattern, but you don't really notice it. But I probably will not wear this very often or ever because I'm just not happy with there's just too much fabric right here. So that is that. Okay, next up, knitting fantasies. For today's episode, I looked for free patterns from the Lovecrafts website. There are some good ones. I was very impressed. I picked 3. My first pick is, because these are all free, 100% free from Lovecrafts. You can go download these right now for absolutely free. Especially this first one is by Greta Mensen, who's like a real life famous designer. So you can kind of feel like this is going to work out because you do get what you pay for. That's true. This is called Rocky Cliffs by Greta Mensen. It is a worsted weight cable knit textured cowl that is just super cute. It looks to me like it is straight up and down with no shaping in it. Looks like a very basic, easy, probably one skein project. I just thought this looked awesome. I love that she made hers in gray. If I were to make one, I'd probably pick a color just because all my coats are so neutral. I'd probably want one that's a color, but great pattern, looks like, by Greta Mensen, totally free. The second pattern that I picked, I'm kind of amazed is free. It's super awesome. This is the Cable Luxe Tunic. There was only this one picture of it on Lovecrafts, but you can see that you can make it as like a sweater or even as like a dress, just continuing with the cables, which looks amazing. It just looks super cool. I like it a lot. This is by Lion Brand, and you use Lion Brand Wool Ease, which is, they say Aran and worsted. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Maybe it's something in between that. I don't know, but it's that specific yarn. It's the Lion Brand Wool Ease yarn, which is very affordable. You can get that at Michael's or wherever. I've never used it. I'm not sure what the fiber content of that is, if it's superwash or what, but yeah, but you could just go based on gauge too. Presumably the gauge is there. I can't imagine them having a pattern without gauge, but you could just see what you get gauge with and that would work too. And my last pick, free on Lovecrafts, is the Deep Blue Colorwork Hat. This is by Vetka Knit, and this is an Aran weight colorwork hat that I thought was so cute. I chose a few patterns similar to this from Etsy a couple weeks ago, but I just wanted to find some free ones. I'm like, well, what's free? Because free patterns are just great. I have a couple of them, not a lot, but I'm really happy to be able to provide some free patterns. We got to put food on the table over here too, but being able to provide free patterns is really awesome, such as the Cotton Candy Mittens, which will be out on February 1st-ish in the Blocked magazine. Okay, so no one sent me a knitting story. Are you guys interested in hearing knitting stories? Because if you are, then you need to send me some or I will have to do a different segment on the podcast. Oh, here's something fun. Look at these cute earrings that have knit stitches on them. I'm trying to get them in the light. Aren't those so cute? These are from Katrinkles. They're very lightweight. And my friend Louise from Adventures with Yarn got these for me. We had like a gift exchange And she got me these, and also, these also are from Katrinkles. They're stitch markers. Aren't those cute? So cute. Little socks. Those are just adorable. Katrinkles has super cute stuff. I don't know her personally, but her stuff is really, really cute. She's just very creative, and I love a good knitting themed earring. So anyway, if you have a knitting story, 5 to 10 minutes, take a video or audio recording of yourself, send it to me, devin@knittingmcpurly.com. I would love to put it on the podcast. That would be super fun. You might not know how interesting your story is. Most stories are super fun and interesting, and we all want to hear them. So send me a story, and it will appear next week on the podcast. If you don't, then I will probably get rid of this segment unless I have a story of my own to share. Okay, happy Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great, great holiday, and enjoy your knitting, enjoy your full skein advent calendar, people, and leave me a comment about the retreat, December 8th through 11th of the next year, right outside Asheville, North Carolina, approximately $600. Tell me what you think. Okay, bye, knitters.